What if the worst day of your life was actually the beginning of your greatest blessing? What if the people who hurt you the most were unknowingly helping God's plan for your future? And what if a dream, a single dream, could change your entire life? Today, we're going to discover the incredible, true story of Joseph, a young man who lost everything, yet gained more than he could have ever imagined. But before he became a ruler, before he wore royal robes, before entire nations depended on him, Joseph was simply a teenage shepherd living in the land of Canaan. And that's where our story begins. Long ago, among the rolling hills of Canaan, there lived a young man named Joseph. He was the son of Jacob. And out of all his sons, Jacob loved Joseph very deeply. One day, Jacob gave Joseph a beautiful coat, unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It shimmered with many colors beneath the sunlight. It was a gift of love, but it quickly became a symbol of division. Every time Joseph wore the coat, his brothers were reminded that he was their father's favorite. Jealousy began growing inside them, slowly, quietly, like a storm gathering beyond the horizon. But the coat wasn't the real reason they hated him. The real reason came at night, because God had given Joseph something unusual. Dreams. Not ordinary dreams. Dreams that seemed to reveal the future. One night, Joseph dreamed that he and his brothers were gathering grain in a field. Suddenly, the bundles belonging to his brothers turned toward his bundle and bowed before it. Joseph woke up in amazement. The dream felt real, important, almost as if God was trying to tell him something. The next day, he shared it with his brothers. Their reaction was immediate. "Are you saying you'll rule over us someday?" Their voices filled with anger, their eyes filled with resentment. And from that moment, their jealousy became even stronger. But then, something even stranger happened. A short time later, Joseph had another dream. This time, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed before him. Even his father was troubled by the dream. No one understood what it meant, not even Joseph. But deep inside, he believed God had a purpose for him. What he didn't know was that those dreams would lead him into years of suffering before they came true. One day, Joseph's brothers were far from home tending sheep. Jacob asked Joseph to go check on them. Joseph happily obeyed. As he walked across the open fields, his colorful coat shining beneath the sun, his brothers saw him coming from far away. And suddenly, a terrible idea entered their minds. "Look," one brother sneered, "here comes the dreamer." Their anger exploded. Years of jealousy boiled over. As Joseph approached, they surrounded him. Before he could react, they grabbed him. They tore away his beautiful coat. Joseph cried out in confusion, "Brothers, what are you doing?" But nobody answered. They dragged him toward a deep pit and threw him inside. Joseph fell into darkness. Dust filled the air. He looked up. The faces staring down at him belonged to his own family, the people who should have protected him, the people who should have loved him. Yet, they turned away. Then something even worse happened. A caravan of traders appeared in the distance. Camels crossed the desert carrying merchants on their way to Egypt. One brother had an idea. "Let's sell him." For a few pieces of silver, Joseph's brothers sold him as a slave. As the caravan carried him away, Joseph watched his home disappear behind him. His future seemed lost. His dreams seemed impossible. And yet, God's plan was only beginning. Joseph arrived in Egypt alone. No family, no friends, no freedom. He was sold to a powerful Egyptian officer named Potiphar. Life wasn't easy, but Joseph refused to become bitter. Instead, he worked hard, day after day, month after month. God blessed everything Joseph did. Soon, Potiphar trusted him completely. Joseph was placed in charge of the entire household. For the first time in years, life seemed hopeful. But then disaster struck again. Joseph was falsely accused of a crime he did not commit, even though he was innocent. He was thrown into prison. Once again, his future seemed destroyed. Many people would have given up. Many people would have blamed God. But Joseph continued trusting him, even in the darkness, even when life made no sense. Because faith isn't believing only when things are good. Faith is trusting God when you cannot see the way forward. Years passed, slowly, painfully. Joseph remained in prison. Then one day, 2 servants from Pharaoh's palace were imprisoned. Both men had troubling dreams. God gave Joseph wisdom to interpret them, and everything happened exactly as Joseph said. One servant was restored to Pharaoh's palace. Before leaving, Joseph made a simple request. "Please remember me." The servant promised he would, but then he forgot. Days became weeks, weeks became months, months became years. Joseph waited, forgotten by people, but never forgotten by God. One night, Pharaoh himself had mysterious dreams. They troubled him greatly. No one could explain them. Not his advisors, not his wise men, not his magicians. Then suddenly, the servant remembered Joseph, the forgotten prisoner. Joseph was rushed before Pharaoh. Standing before the most powerful man in Egypt, Joseph listened carefully. Then, through God's wisdom, he explained the dreams. 7 years of abundance were coming. After that, 7 years of famine. Egypt needed to prepare immediately. Pharaoh was amazed. No one else had the answer. And then something extraordinary happened. Pharaoh removed his royal ring and placed it on Joseph's hand. In a single moment, the prisoner became a ruler. The slave became a leader. The forgotten man became second in command over all Egypt. The dreams were beginning to come true. Years later, famine spread across the land. People everywhere were desperate for food, including Joseph's family. His brothers traveled to Egypt seeking help. When they entered the palace, they bowed before Egypt's ruler, exactly as Joseph had seen in his dream years earlier. But they didn't recognize him. Joseph recognized them immediately. The same brothers who betrayed him, the same brothers who sold him, the same brothers who destroyed his life. Now Joseph held all the power. He could punish them. He could seek revenge. He could make them suffer. What would he do? After testing his brothers and seeing that their hearts had changed, Joseph could no longer hold back his emotions. Tears filled his eyes. His voice trembled. And finally he said, "I am Joseph." The room fell silent. Fear filled their faces. Surely punishment was coming. Surely revenge was coming. But instead, Joseph stepped forward and embraced them. Then he spoke words that still inspire people thousands of years later. "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Joseph forgave them. He fed them. He saved them. The brother they rejected became the brother who rescued them. Joseph's story reminds us that setbacks are not the end. Rejection is not the end. Failure is not the end. Sometimes God is working behind the scenes in ways we cannot understand. The pit wasn't Joseph's ending. The prison wasn't Joseph's ending. They were only steps toward his purpose. So, if you're facing difficulties today, don't quit. If you're waiting for your breakthrough, don't lose hope. And if someone has hurt you, remember Joseph, because faith can carry you through hardship. and forgiveness can change lives. Your current situation is not your final destination. If Joseph's story inspired you today, please help us spread these life-changing Bible stories. Like this video. Share it with your friends and family. Subscribe to Everyday Bible Lessons for more inspiring journeys from God's Word. And tell us in the comments, what lesson from Joseph's story touched your heart the most? Thank you for watching. May God bless you, guide you, and fill your life with hope. Until next time, keep the faith and keep shining your light.